Alright y'all, so I'm getting ready to start the first dye bath here. And what we have in here is coreopsis. Now this is the flower heads and tops. That means the flower head and the green part around it. And let me show you what I've actually got here inside the pot before I start putting water on it. Now with this kind of being an experiment, and well, more because I forgot, I didn't weigh these. Let me just go ahead and be honest about that. But this is the coreopsis that you saw us, or you saw Larry picking in an earlier part of the video. And what we're going to do is we're going to put some water over this, probably about 4 cups, maybe 6, over top of this, and let it simmer for an hour to start pulling that color out from the flower tops and the petals. So check back with us here in just a minute and we'll show you what it looks like. Alright y'all, we have 3 dye baths going on the stove. This is the coreopsis. I'm going to try to do this and not get, because I don't have a whole lot of light under here. That is turning into a beautiful orange in there. And it's got about another 45 minutes to sit here in summer. This is phlox. Now we did the phlox a little different. We actually just threw the whole plant off in there, and you can see that really doesn't do the color justice, but it's a real yellowy green. And this is the spiderwort. Now Larry talked about spiderwort in a sitting in the shade that he did. I just got this all broke down and put on the stove, so it hasn't even started simmering yet. We're waiting for it to come up to temperature so we can start maybe seeing what sort of color. We're hoping to get a purple. It's been putting off a real purpley dye. But purples are hard, and a lot of times flowers will give you colors you're not necessarily expecting. So I'm not 100% sure that this is going to turn into a purple, but we'll see. It's all we can do. That's why this is an experiment, and we're just kind of testing and seeing. So we've got about an hour. I've got to see if I can find another pot to be able to get some vinegar on the stove and get our fiber in for the mordant. And we'll explain that process here in just a little bit. Alright everybody, so we have a stove full now, as you can see. This right here, this is what is called your mordant. This is what's going to help set the dye into the fiber. Now what will...
Hold on 1 second. If I can do this right. We're doing a vinegar, and I understand that in a lot of the dyeing community, vinegar is not considered a true mordant. But in my opinion, if anything sets a color to it, it's a mordant in my opinion. Okay, so we understand, we're not saying that this is truly a 100% by textile rules and regulations of the Textile International whatever, that this is a mordant. It isn't. But it's a pH modifier. It's going to allow the color to come out in the wool the way we want it and set. What we use a lot of our wool for, yarn for, is for things that are not getting washed on a regular basis. Sorry, I wasn't trying to get in there. I just know that some folks are going to be very animate about that, about vinegar.
And also, please remember, it's an experiment for us. I have done a little dyeing, but I've always done dyeing with someone basically standing over me, showing me exactly step by step what to do. So, what we have here in the very big pot, excuse me, this is phlox, as I bring the magnet along with us. We are, like I've told you earlier, we are doing the whole plant, as you see. And what I think this is going to end up giving us is going to be, it's turning more green, a little less yellow, more green.
Maybe it's the heat.
Maybe. And then back here we have coreopsis, which is this absolutely wonderful orange color. Like, I want to go dye Easter eggs in this. Now we have the spiderwort. Now we have found references of where spiderwort was used in watercolors for a purple, but that's not what we're getting. If you can kind of see that on the spoon, it's turning into almost like a green. So I'm using the same spoon for these two because the
Sorry
colors
about that. My hand slipped, people.
I'm using the same spoon in these two because they're a fairly close color. And then I'm having a separate one for this because this is really a completely different color. So like he said, we're just trying we're going to try the vinegar, we're going to try alum. What we have in here is a spun yarn, a spun roving, which is this kind of fluffy-ish, if you can see it. We also have some soy silk. And that soy silk is actually wrapped around a piece of cotton that it's not supposed to, but it's sticking together right this second.
Did you not put the Angora fur in there?
I did not. The Angora fur wasn't really cooperating.
Okay.
And, yeah.
Well, we didn't spin it up. We were thinking about trying to do it raw. So that's, we knew that going into that experiment that it might not work because it was not already spun up. So.
If it was going into a bath by itself, it probably would have worked better. And I may try that if some of these colors really turn into something I like, taking some of the Angora fleece that we have and using it by itself and spinning it from, or dyeing it from a raw state. But with all this other in here that we're trying to do so we can kind of get an idea of what we're looking at, it wasn't going to work in my opinion. So we've got about another 30 minutes on these two before we can do them. We have about another 45-50 minutes on this, waiting on it so that we can actually take these fibers and stick them over in here. And then we've got about the same amount of time on this. So we've got some time to wait. We're going to get off here, go eat some supper, and we will come back and let you know how it's going.
Alrighty, we're through with the first batch of mordant. Actually modifier. I'm going to actually go with the correct terms here. I'm calling it modifier. It's a mordant in my opinion because it stays there, but that's beside the point. We're not going to argue semantics at this point in time. The juice that came out of the...
this is the spiderwort.
I was pointing down, sorry. The spiderwort here comes out of blue-green kind of color. I wish you can't really see it. Well, if you look around the edges right there, people, you can really kind of see what I'm talking about. See that greeny, purple-green color? But when we add the yarn that had the vinegar in it, it kind of turned a rose color. We'll have to see how that looks after it sets overnight. This is coming along as a yellow. And this is actually coming along as, I'd call a cream. Wouldn't you call that like a cream? Beigey cream?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that's how everything's coming along right now. We have the other dye bath, one right there, and the other two here, that we're actually going to do the alum in. And when we get the alum mixed up and cooked up here in a few minutes, we'll get all the stuff added into it. And then we'll let them set overnight and cool like they're supposed to. And I'll be back tomorrow afternoon to get them and see what kind of color we get from them. So y'all stay with us. This is a multi-day process. We do apologize, but that's the point to dyeing. It's not done in 30 minutes. So all right, come back and join us tomorrow. All right, I've put the alum in the water. We're heating it up. When it comes up to a boil and starts to dissolve really well, which it's already dissolved, just needs to come up to a rolling boil, I'll turn the heat back down, and then I will add the fibers, and we will simmer them for an hour, and then we will add them to the bath. Alrighty, what we have is unmordant, unmodified. Unmordant, modified with vinegar. Mordant with alum, unmodified. Same thing down through here. Unmodified, unmordant. Modified, mordant. Unmodified, mordant. Now tomorrow what we'll do is we'll actually take these three samples that we took here that were put in with a mordant of alum, and then we will put them in the, when we pull these out, we will put them in the modifier of the vinegar and see what color we get there. So we should have 4 samples per. We also have the regular wool yarn that went in there, but we also have the cotton muslin that went in there, and we also have the soy silk that went in there. So we got cotton, animal, two different types of cotton, animal, and a synthetic silk. So we're going to see how all that does. We're going to leave this up here on the counter for tonight in case we need to use it, because that's the good thing about the alum mordant. You can actually use it more than once. Baby, if you'll hand me the lid. So we'll keep that, because I have some other plants that I might throw in here for another test batch. So anyway, y'all come back tomorrow and let's see where we go from there, all right?